From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News Weekend Edition.
Good evening and welcome to our Saturday edition of the Fbx Evening News. I'm Katie Looper. Our top story tonight. Despite a previous plan to end the legislative recess and vote on a funded budget, only a small group will convene in Juneau. According to memos distributed Friday morning to lawmakers, technical sessions will be held Tuesday. Most of the state's 60 lawmakers instead will remain in Anchorage for hearings at the Legislative Information Office, where budget experts have testified before the House Finance Committee on the governor's latest budget proposal that would restore tens of millions for education, public safety, and a handful of the other line items. The possibility of wrapping up the special session in downtown offices in Anchorage instead of going back to Juneau is being explored. Today is the annual cleanup day throughout the state. With the snow finally melted, trash and debris alongside Alaska's highways and roads is finally uncovered. State locals go out of their way to volunteer their time and help our state maintain its beautiful scenery. The Department of Transportation held a thank you for all the cleanup volunteers at Pioneer Park this afternoon, and coordinator Lisa Rice says that the trash along the roadways adds up to a heavy amount.
So today we, as in the cleanup committee, sponsored a big thank you trash bash for all the volunteers who went out and picked up during cleanup day. Last year we picked up 10 tons. The year before we picked up over 15 tons, which is equivalent to over 55,000 pounds in the last 2 years. We just love Fairbanks and we like to give back and say thank you to all the volunteers.
Well, we've been wanting to do it for a couple of years, but we could never get the bags, but we finally got the bags. So that makes a big difference. We drove a couple places that we were going to go and they were cleaned up. They look so nice. So we had to find one that wasn't got yet.
People can litter without being caught or without it being real obvious. You know, there's wind and snow, and when it melts, the snow melts away, it becomes obvious.
Last night, the Alaska BP Teachers of Excellence program recognized 6 outstanding teachers in the Fairbanks area. They also announced this year's Teacher of the Year is Amy Brown, a math teacher at Hutchinson High School. Over the past 20 years, BP has recognized 622 Teachers of Excellence, and this year they added 33 more to that list. The 6 Fairbanks teachers were honored for their hard work and dedication in and outside of the classroom. Many go above and beyond their teaching duties. And last night they talked about how all of these teachers show a genuine interest in their students' lives and success.
Most teachers are so humble, and they're not teaching for recognition or accolades. They're teaching because they love their craft and they really love making an impact on students. So joy, shock, and I think just very humble.
It's just a pretty amazing feeling to be recognized by people outside of the education community, because you know, we get pats on the back all the time from fellow teachers, from students, even from parents, but to have an outside company recognize that's pretty cool.
All the winners are posted online at bpteachers.com, and anyone is eligible to nominate teachers for next year. And about 500 people signed up for the annual Walk for Charity that took place Friday evening in Fairbanks. It has been going on since 2001 and has raised nearly $300,000 for local charities since it started. People and groups register for the walk, then follow the route from Immaculate Conception Church through the downtown area to the Morris Thompson Center. Along the way, food is provided at booths run by various businesses and organizations. The charity walk was started by the Fairbanks Convention and Visitors Bureau.
All the funding that's raised goes to local charities. That the charities, there's no cost to them to sign up. They do need to sign up, but 100% of the money that is raised by the walkers who have designated a particular charity, it goes back to them. And I haven't gotten the final count for this year, but oftentimes we've had over 50 local charities that have signed up.
Thursday afternoon, 6 local high school seniors took the next step towards adulthood at the School District Administrative Center, and they're ready to go to work. Through the district's School to Apprenticeship program, seniors from 4 area high schools signed apprenticeship contracts with 3 different local trade unions. Andrew Coffey and Logan Young, a pair of Eielson seniors, signed with the Carpenters Local 1243, and Lyndon Coriel from West Valley signed with Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 375. And Lance Dosser of Lathrop, along with Connor Hoskin Demet and Dalton DeRosiers of Hutchison, signed with the IBEW Local 1547. Director of Career and Technical Education for the district, Daniel Domke, says each of these seniors earned the right to sign the respective contracts.
They're fluent in math, they're fluent in chemistry, they're fluent in English. Beyond that, they're also fluent in the work keys. And I should say that's a test, a national test, and they have to score appropriately on that as well. So when we talk as a school district about college and career ready, these students are both, and they happen to be choosing a very solid career pathway.
Okay, when we come back, thousands of people were taken on a ride around town today at the annual Railroads Day. Also, 2 local police officers are down in the States representing Alaska in the annual Police Unity Bike Ride. We'll have those stories and more when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you were stopped by one of the many train crossings earlier, it was because the Alaska Railroad hauled nearly 3,000 passengers across town today. Every other year, the Alaska Railroad invites the interior to climb aboard for free train rides around town. They shuffle about 300 passengers on per ride.
Today the train's just heading north about 10-15 minutes and then coming back. It's just really an opportunity to get on the train and feel the romance and see what that's all about. You know, the reactions are pretty consistent. They're always smiling coming off the trains. They've got balloons in hand. They all look real happy that they've gotten a chance to ride on a train and ready to do it again.
Inside the station, they passed out balloons, tattoos, and engineer caps while the Army band jammed outside and passengers waited to jump on board in a line parallel to the train.
Well, we didn't expect this many people. We came a little bit early, tried to get ahead of the crowd. We expected to just see a little bit of the town and enjoy the fun of riding on the train.
It was a new experience for many young riders, but also for a few out-of-towners.
We've never been here before. We actually just moved to Fairbanks last week. We're just trying to get out and learn the area and find things to do. It's just been a really great way to spend Mother's Day weekend and just spend some time together.
The Alaska Railroad has been hosting this open house for decades, and they plan to keep the tradition alive.
It was a lovely little train ride, and we were very excited. The model room is completed now. 8 years ago it was not, and it's really just great fun.
Reporting from the Railroad Days, this is Katie Looper. 2 longtime officers from the Fairbanks Police Department have made it down to the Lower 48 for the annual Police Unity Ride. Sergeant Scott McCumbee and Sergeants Kurt Lockwood are representing Alaska in the 300-plus mile bicycle ride from New Jersey to Washington, D.C. This year, the ride lands near the 1-year anniversary of the murder of 2 Alaska State Troopers, Sergeant Scott Johnson and Trooper Gabe Rich. The 2 troopers' names will be inscribed on the National Police Memorial Wall in D.C. at the end of the ride. Lockwood and McCumbee are the first Alaska law enforcement officers to participate in the ride and were able to raise the funds to represent our state.
All these guys come from a background where they've lost buddies, they've known buddies. You know, everybody shares the same sad story that brings us here. But we're all brothers and sisters, and it doesn't matter what uniform badge you're wearing. Everybody, it's too emotional to even describe what's going on here.
It's always great when Fairbanks can brag about winning a championship, but when it's a national championship, that's a whole different level of exciting. Mike Schultz gives us the local story of local groups' national success in this report.
It looks like a box-shaped contraption with pieces of metal straps, measuring tapes, and anything else you can find in your garage. But all that changes when 6 genius teenagers combine their talents to transform it into a robotic machine that is capable of picking up objects and placing them into designated containers. This is Tribbles, and it performs so well that its creators, working as a team, walked away with the Inspire Award at the First Tech Challenge World Championship in St. Louis earlier this year. Their reaction, as you would imagine, was one of joy and pride.
The tagline this year was "More Than Robots," which is basically what makes first, because while it is a robotics competition, there are so many other aspects to it. There's the community outreach, the gracious professionalism, so many different things that really come together to make an amazing program.
So we are all competing against each other, the teams, but we're also really good friends with all of them. And so we're always helping each other out. And if one team has a problem, a ton of other teams will go over and try to help them troubleshoot it or give them parts or whatever they need to get their robot working again.
This team is very unique in that not only do they compete in a national contest, but they also contribute to the community in many ways.
The way that they looked at their community outreach this year was that they did stuff locally, they also did it statewide, but then they also really expanded out into a global level this year. So they like to take what they learn at the tournaments and then try and give it back. That's a big part of their mission.
So, congratulations to Justin Hanna, Colleen Johnson, Katie Johnson, Emily Maynard, Eli Simmons, and Andrew Parker. And no, I didn't forget you, Tribbles. Mike Schultz reporting.
Mike Fussel's coming up next with all your local sports action. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Mike Fussell here with your latest local sports action. Let's take a look at what some of the area's best athletes were up to this weekend. Local high school track teams battled it out at Lathrop for the second week in a row. Saturday was all about the runners, as most field events were held the night before. The meet started off with several close dashes in both the girls' and boys' 100-meter races. The Hutchinson girls took the #1 spot in the 4x200-meter relay with a time of 2 minutes and 1 second. Multiple individual PRs pushed the team of Veronica Yanis, Saskia Harrison, Emmy Stern, and Katie Peterson seconds ahead of their previous record. Yanis says the squad fine-tuned their handoff and gave it their all to get the win.
I feel like we fixed our handoffs for the most part. You know, got a lot of muscle fatigue from that, but you know, it's a good feeling. And you know, we didn't have time to count our marks before the race. We were all super nervous, but we kind of just wung it and won it. We wung it and won it.
A number of local track standouts traveled south for the Anchorage Invitational as well. West Valley dominated the competition with a team score. At the top team score in both the boys and girls divisions, the Wolfpack's Charles Suddeth took first in the 100-meter prelims with an 11.21 second finish, and Lathrop's Jared Welch soared the farthest in the long jump, reaching more than 21 feet. And the Hutchinson Hawks softball team met up with the Kodiak Bears earlier today. The two teams played a doubleheader at the South Davis Fields in Fairbanks. It was neck and neck early on, leaving the score tied at 2 after the second inning. But that would change in the third. Bats started cracking for the Lady Hawks, who outscored Kodiak 4-2. A double that sliced through defenders helped ignite the rally. Hutch would tack on 2 more points by the end of the game, securing the Game 1 win 8-4. For Game 2 results, check back on Monday for our weekend recap. Hutchinson softball coach Jason Jacobs says the matchup, which started earlier in the morning than normal, was something the team needed to get adjusted to.
I think we finally woke up. The girls just showed up very lethargic this morning, half asleep, trying to get them to show up and warm up with some intensity. And it took a little while to get going, but once we got going, I think they found their groove. Kimmy started finding the strike zone a little bit better. Fielders were picking her up, so it just worked better once everybody got woke up.
And a number of local high school baseball teams met up in the Diamond to compete on Friday night. MAC rivals West Valley and Lathrop were one of the big matchups of the weekend, and our cameras were there to capture the action.
The West Valley Wolfpack took on the Lathrop Malamutes in Mid-Alaska Conference play Friday night at Marlin Field. Lathrop started early with 4 runs in the first 2 innings. All of those points were scored off of walks and errors, though. But it didn't take much time for the Malamutes to start connecting with the ball. Lathrop's Wyatt Berg kicked off the third with a double and was batted in by Evan Wilkin to bring the score up to 5-0 at the end of 3. Wilkin kept the bat swinging with a double in the 5th and was rounded in on a Chris Carter triple, bringing the score to 8-0.
You know, every time we play West Valley, it really sets it off and makes us play harder, and it's just fun every time.
The Malamutes defense made getting on base difficult for the Wolfpack. West Valley would be held to a 3-hit game thanks to a stellar performance by Lathrop pitcher Joshua Esau Thomas.
It felt good. The goal was just come and relax and just kind of let it go and just play baseball. So that was motivation. Then we're both undefeated, and so just have that title of undefeated in the conference. That really boosts us, get us going early in the game. So
the Wolfpack's Tyler Gale went 3 for 3 and recorded all of the team's hits. The Malamutes then went on to bat in 2 more runs in the 6th. Esau Thomas secured 3 outs in the bottom of that inning to bring the game to a close in a mercy rule situation, 10-0.
That 4-run inning that we gave up in the 2nd inning, we have not been able to learn how to overcome adversary yet. And so that kind of set the tone for us the rest of the day.
It means a lot to our team, set the pace for the season on some wins, and it just feels really good.
And that about brings us to the buzzer for sports tonight. Katie Looper is up next with your full weather forecast. Thanks for checking in, and we'll see you next weekend.
Welcome back to our Saturday edition. Well, gardening tips and backyard barbecue are starting up soon.
Sounds great. That's a gateway to the summer there. I've got a little garden going of myself here, getting ready for that.
Really?
And can't wait for barbecues. That sounds great. Who's doing the barbecue tips this year?
Oh, that's Big Daddy's Barbecue.
Okay, great.
And I love backyard barbecue. It's my favorite segment we've got. But what are you growing in your garden?
So far I've got some sunflower seeds and cucumbers and
You gotta grow something like lettuce, tomatoes, so you can put it on a backyard barbecue burger.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's take a look at weather for today. We've got a normal high of 58 and normal low